parent at 4 in the morning. Nobody want to watch him. She got Marsh watching the baby at 4 in the morning so she could what? Get some, do a verse? Let me get in here, bro. All this so you can do a verse, suck some, you a boot. My son ain't got no parent. 4 in the morning.
Or just hours earlier, paramedics took Christian Rock's 2-year-old son, who has been the focus of public debates and dramatic headlines, to a hospital in Los Angeles. The scene was filled with chaos, flashing lights, and the sound of a mother's scream echoing through the night. The most shocking part is that no one knows the whole story. Was it a sudden medical emergency or something darker? Hospital staff were heard whispering behind closed doors. Security was doubled on the pediatric floor, and even the doctors were heard saying, "This doesn't look right." According to insiders, we are beginning to uncover the truth behind this catastrophe, and you won't believe what we have discovered. Keep reading to find out how a peaceful evening turned into a nightmare and how one family's darkest hours transpired over the course of the following few minutes. It gets even more unsettling at this point. Although Blueface created a sensation on the internet, he was nowhere to be found, not at the hospital, not answering calls, and not even publicly acknowledging the problem. What caused the collapse? Was it preventable? Did you ignore the warning signs? When Chrissy Rock first announced her pregnancy, it wasn't your typical celebrity story. Instead of champagne and flowers to celebrate, there was chaos. The baby wasn't born into love, but rather into a frenzy of disputes, Instagram lives, and shouting matches that millions of people watched. Rapper Blueface, the father, has been in the news for all the wrong reasons, including violent outbursts, online feuds, public humiliation, and cheating scandals. What began as a toxic, sporadic relationship turned into a full-fledged circus once a child was involved. And Christian She would go live at 3 in the morning on certain evenings, while on other days she would post videos of herself sobbing while holding the baby. Despite her best efforts, the strain was too great for her to handle. Her problems were made into memes, and she was labeled unstable, dramatic, and inappropriate. No matter how crazy, her love for her son was undeniable in spite of everything. I'm talking about feeling exhausted, alone, and unnoticed. Rumors of postpartum depression spread, and fans watched her break down live and online. When she found out that her child had been sent to the hospital not just for a checkup, but in critical condition, everything changed. According to reports, just after midnight, neighbors said they heard cries coming from inside Christian's house. There was something raw and frightful in place of the usual conversations. After a 911 call, paramedics arrived in less than 7 minutes. When they entered the house, they discovered the infant unconscious and what one EMT described as clear signs of distress. He was immediately placed on oxygen after being taken to the closest hospital. As soon as the media learned the hospital had already locked down the 4th floor, porters flooded his page. No visitors were permitted. No remarks were issued. Just Blueface and silence. No posts, no calls to fans, and no acknowledgement that his child was battling for his life. The disturbing portion comes next. An unnamed source was informed by a nurse who worked in the emergency room that night that the doctors were documenting everything, including signs, bruises, swelling, and conflicting explanations. In addition to treating a medical condition, others observed that the roles appeared to be reversed, with Chris Ian, who the media had labeled unstable, being the sole person by the child's side, sobbing, pacing, and praying, while Blueface, the self-proclaimed provider, was silent and absent when it mattered most. The timeline of events prompted even more conjecture when Christian posted an Instagram story earlier that day that featured the baby dancing, laughing, and eating on treats. Statements like, "Your son is in the hospital. Where have you disappeared? 2. How can you disregard flex chains and your child?" Christian deserved better even now. What is most awful is the notion that this was not a mere accident, that someone close to the kid knew he was ill and chose to ignore, or worse, try to conceal the signs. Christian has been alleging for weeks that something happened in the house, that it hasn't been made public yet, or that there was a medical issue that had been developing secretly and went unnoticed for weeks before blowing up, according to a source close to Christian's inner circle. Even his apparent health was mentioned by fans. Something was wrong. She called for help, but no one paid attention. Now, a single comment has set off a full-scale online frenzy. Has the child been suffering in silence while rumors have stifled? Followers pleas for help and distracted them with drama and arguments. Why are hospital staff members remaining silent? Some people think CPS has already been contacted, while others assert that authorities were observed inside the hospital looking over video. One blogger claims that a private investigator who was hired by an unnamed party a few weeks ago has abruptly started working again. The public hopes for developments while watching from behind screens, but the pieces don't add together. At 2:17 a.m., the situation took an even more grim turn. They're not saying it publicly yet. They had to resuscitate him, is said in a tremulous voice. An insider claiming to be a member of the hospital's administrative staff posted a horrifying voice memo to a gossip website with over 2 million followers. It's becoming painfully clear that this is more than a celebrity crisis. It's a potential tragedy, and the truth is growing worse by the second. The word spread like wildfire, raising the possibility that his breathing had stopped and his heart had stopped beating. That one sentence sent shockwaves over social media, sending fans into full-blown panic mode. When it became too much, a blurry, grainy image of Precision slumped in a chair in the corridor, her hoodie pulled over her head, her phone on the floor, and tears streaming down her cheeks. The caption said, "This is what a mother looks like when the world is watching." And Blueface hasn't responded yet. Carl Issa, Blueface's mother, never stayed silent and was captured on camera sitting in her car with her lips pressed firmly together and her eyes narrowed. "My grandson is strong and will succeed," she went on, "but now everyone around him is behaving like they care. Before, where had you all been?" When she made it clear that she was blaming Chris Ian Dot, even though she didn't name names, the internet instantly went crazy. While the children were still in critical care, the most devastating information was revealed. A pediatric specialist who had been called in for an emergency consultation reportedly warned staff, as overheard by an intern and later leaked, that he may survive, but the damage might be permanent. People grieved on Live Fan. Pages held prayer circles and used hashtags like #PrayForBob Jr. as the fans rallied around Christian, who had been fighting alone, and begged for help. You all chose to ignore her. At 7:03 p.m., Christian finally raised his voice as the system started to function behind closed doors. She said, "I just want him to be okay," on social media. "I could care less. Clown me, drag me, hate me. I have no interest in it." Meanwhile, Joe began to become more well-liked. The case was now officially under the jurisdiction of CPS. They visited the hospital, questioned Christian, and talked to Blueface, who reportedly declined to visit in person. Christian began to weep and stopped casting judgment, but he was unaware that another development would clarify everything. Donnan changed this story forever. The hospital walls were hushed, but the internet was screaming as Christian poured her heart out in that heartbreaking, trembling prayer, pleading for her son's life. On the other side of town, a whistleblower who claimed to have access to internal hospital data, including medical and security footage, suddenly came to light. They made defamatory statements that have since gone viral. "I shouldn't be saying this, but there's footage from the night the baby was rushed in," reads an anonymous voicemail sent on a hip-hop news channel with 3 million subscribers. The letter continued, "And what they found on the child's skin and clothes is not what the public is being told," which made followers gasp. There were traces of an artificial chemical compound. Since they are now doing experiments, CPS is still present even if the floor was closed near open containers after he nearly swallowed vape juice. He left open medicine bottles and other items on the floor. I quit because nobody took safety seriously, another post said. I had a feeling that something was approaching, but they dismissed my condition as a temporary phase. Celebrities started to comment on the hashtag PROTECTA Junior Point. This baby didn't ask for any of this, Megan Thee Stallion said on Twitter. It gets stronger when you pray for him. During her live stream, Cardi B added, when you're surrounded by dysfunction, love isn't always enough. Your youngster deserves peace and order. Snoop Dogg even went so far as to share an old photo of himself with his grandchildren, along with the caption, "Kids first, always no excuses." Blueface doubled down and performed live from a studio, then offering an apology as they joked and recorded unreleased music. Someone questioned, "Why aren't you at the hospital?" He said, "That's handled. We're working over here," with a cheeky smile. Websites denounced him, Twitter banned him, and even some of his supporters abandoned him. The reaction was instantaneous. This father was behaving as though his son had not been in danger of dying, that he was not present both emotionally and physically, and that the baby had not yet healed. However, the most shocking finding was yet to come, because Justy simply didn't mean to do this. I turned away for a second, and he stopped breathing. Her sister retorted, "I told you to slow down. You've been going overboard, Chrissy." Following the release of a new audio recording of a confidential phone call between Christian and her older sister. The statement said, "You needed help, and I did ask for help." The words "Blue doesn't care. Nobody cares." Accretion yelled, "Dot." People were crying. The narrative started to fall apart. It could have been about fatigue, not only negligence, and a woman trying to cope with a difficult pregnancy. Mental health. Advocates started to step in. One therapist posted on Twitter, "This is what happens when young mothers are isolated, unsupported, and under constant public scrutiny." More than this burden, she needed a tribe to support her. You guys don't? Care a space for comments. Some objected, claiming that duty fatigue does not excuse endangerment. Next, a never-before-seen clip from a previous episode of her reality show was leaked. It depicts a Christian sitting in a confessional chair with her son saying, "I'm not even sure if I'm doing this correctly," as she looks down at him. "Despite my best efforts, there are moments when I just want to run." The audience was tortured by such comments. "This isn't funny anymore," stated others who had previously made fun of her. As the hospital got ready for a fresh test of brain scan to determine the extent of the damage, another insider leak occurred. Two medical professionals texted one another, stating, "We're seeing some odd brain activity. We won't know the long-term effects for days, but it doesn't look good." She cried out for help before this ever happened, and we saw in real time as she had a breakdown while doing nothing, within hours of the release of the audio and medical updates. The public was feeling a wide range of emotions, including outright incredulity, anguish, rage, and sympathy. Social media was exploding on Twitter X, where fan accounts posted tribute edits of Christia's joyful moments from previous movies, rather than just replying. The idea that this child, who was just 2 years old, would suffer permanent brain damage shocked every fan base. The question was not just what happened, but what came next. And the most terrible part was that no one knew the answer. They utilized subtitles like, "Stay strong, baby, and you didn't deserve this," to go with the mellow piano music, which seemed regular and harmless despite the pandemonium. Every post on Christian's page received a ton of support in the Instagram comment sections, regardless of how old or new it was. "Remain resilient. You're not by yourself. We could make out the signs. Right now, we're praying for healing. There is no manual for maternity, but your love is evident on the Blueface's page." But when he posted another selfie, it was a different story. The celebs began to jump in and kick Palmer, but the backlash was swift, intense, and louder by the second. "It still hurts my heart." When Palmer flexed shirtless and carried a cup of coffee, the comment section darkened. "While your baby is in the hospital, you post this and then take it down. become a father figure. How are you even real right now? Don't wait until energy like this hurts the culture. Jaden Smith wrote on Twitter, "That boy hasn't been right for a minute, regardless of what people may believe." Boozy stated, "Liv, you have to step in when a child is doing all of this flexing and disregarding." One member of the hip-hop cast, Erica Mena, stated that as mothers, we are held to an impossible standard. But there comes a time when your pride doesn't matter, only your baby does. "Nothing, bro," was what she said. Yandi Smith claims that we ignored the warning signs that a child's life was in danger, laughed when she cried, and made fun of her tantrums. We can't fail the next Christian.